What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this episode of Baxter's Down South Customs, we're going to be working on installing AC into our 51 Shoebox Ford here. So if y'all want to see how it goes, stick around, stay tuned, and let's see what we can get into. All right, y'all. Like I said, we are back. So we're going to be working on the 51, installing an AC. For those of you new to the channel, this is my 1951 Shoebox Ford. It has been chopped approximately, I think it's 5 in the front, 6 in the rear. I've got suicide doors on it. The car is bagged, even though it's up on the platforms. You can see how well the wheels tuck, so she'll sit very low. Running a small block Ford up front, 302. Got custom inner fenders. Trying to keep the firewall rather clean. It's basically stock suspension, flipped uprights, bags. Rear is NASCAR trailing arms, basically the same. They're basically C10 truck trailing arms, but these are the NASCAR versions on the back of it, also bagged. Got a AccuAir air ride system in it. I got two compressors, a tank. It's got the level kit and all that. So, been getting a few things buttoned up on this car. So I've got the dash installed. It's getting close to being able to fire up. Start working some of the bugs out while I finish up body work, because I can do body work and drive at the same time. So I want to start getting all the little wiring and all that done. And one of the big components I'd still like to buy, or yet to get, was the AC system. And the only other big, it ain't even a big purchase, $250 I think, is the wiper motor conversion for this for 12 volt electric. I still got to get that. But the AC system was one of the larger purchases. I think other than that, the only major purchase we got left will be the buying all the rest of the paint and the clear coat. That's another $1,000. All right, but AC system. I did not go with vintage air like a lot of people do. There's a company out of Ocala, Florida, called Nostalgic Air. Where's that? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Nostalgic Air AC parts. Anyways, that's the AC kit we went with. One of the things I like about their kit, vintage air, you buy their controls for whatever. I was able to send them for, it's like an extra $35. Flip around. Here's my original heater controls, and they've added new cables, and it will still control temperature, and you still get to use your factory heating and air stuff, and it does have other switches. Here's the evaporator. Good looking unit. Came with a compressor, bracket, which I did not need the bracket. Extra compressor, I already had one. Here's some of the ducting and vents. That's it. I'll just set this over. All right, it did not come with the bulkhead fitting. I had already bought that one, but I'm not going to use this one. I'm actually ordering another one. But it came with an assortment of the fittings, to hook it up. If you're not using a bulkhead fitting, your assortment of these is fine. You should be able to put the AC in, just no problem. Oh, also came with hoses, ducting. Trying to get everything out to show you. That's a pressure switch. All right, that's all front. And yeah, there's more parts in here. Now I will still have a couple. This is probably the actual AC part of it, the coder and the fan, and for the wiring. But, so what we're gonna do in this one, we're gonna do our best to get it most of the way installed. The reason I say most of the way, like I said, I plan on running a bulkhead fitting, but not that one. And I need other AC line fittings to connect to the bulkhead fitting. The one that'll connect to the, that'll, connect to the actual bulkhead, both sides. So it's basically for 8 extra fittings in the bulkhead I need. But everything else we can kind of get hooked up. There is more to that. I do have the dryer and the condenser. Here's the condenser. It is a 14 by 20. And I set the dryer in. There it is. And there's our dryer. So we're going to go ahead and start getting things installed. With this AC stall, there's a couple things we have to modify. Forgive me, my sinus has been killing me, and I've had a little sinus cold. Anyway, one of the things we've got to modify, and I've already kind of started on it just a little. My radiator, and the only reason it's got to be modified is I was sent the wrong one. I know you're saying, why not just send it back and exchange it? The problem is when I initially bought this thing, I knew I was going to need it for the car. I went ahead and bought it. And then it sat on the shelf forever, way past the exchange date. Anyways, I'd ordered one. I've seen my original order. I'd ordered it for a small block Ford motor. The problem is they ended up sending me one for a small block Chevy. Anyways, the exit port on the bottom, which I've already got cut off, is on the wrong side. I can deal with the upper one, but I still might move it as well. Matter of fact, got some thin aluminum here to patch the old holes. But one of the things we're going to have to do, well, I'll show you here in a second. Let me turn you off and I'll bring you back. I'm going to set the radiator in, give you all a view. All right, we got the radiator set in. Right now, she's sitting just a little lower than she needs to, which is not a big deal. But if you come up front here, I've got to get my electric fan ordered. You can see we're very close on the front. I got maybe an inch of clearance. And for an electric fan, it's going to be a little tight. So one of the things we're going to do is I'm going to end up spacing this radiator out just a little bit. Not much. But it's causing other modifications. Let me grab this condenser. Small end at the bottom, big at the top. All right. That is the wrong way. Sorry. Now, with a condenser, you can see it slid down. It needs to be shifted a little. Anyway, it's kind of fine where it sits, but the issue I run into, I pulled my grill off and crap. Sorry. These mounting brackets I will have to end up redoing because the angle they run at, they run right into where the condenser sits, right in this area here. So I'll end up having to bring them farther over and basically make more of a 90. So we'll have to redo that part when we get to it. Condenser is going to be raised up a little more than what it is right now. That's just kind of sitting in. That way you can start eyeballing things. I already got a location picked out for the dryer. But that's all neither here nor there. We're going to start this from the beginning and just kind of go by the instructions in the order it does. Like I said, we won't be able to hook up our final hoses, but we can get a lot of other things done. So this is part 1 of our AC install. Sorry for a little bit of the rambling, but let's get started. All right, first part of this, according to the instructions, is actually just locating your evaporator where you want it to sit. Now, I'd already done this off camera. Actually had this thing installed. I actually pulled it off just so I could show it to y'all a little better. But what it suggests doing is holding it up. You attach, it has these L brackets to attach it. You attach those to the side of the condenser. It's got two different holes on this side. You can attach to either one. And same thing on this side. Two holes. You attach your L brackets. You know, set this thing up under the dash, figure out where you want it, mark it best you can. You might have to have an extra set of hands. And then from there, take the L brackets off, drill a hole, or has little self tappers, and you mount the L brackets. So for mine, flip y'all around. There's my first L bracket, and you can see that one's lower, so one side does sit lower than the other. Like I said, it is just self tappers. There is, to me, a downside to this. I'm trying to keep my firewall extremely clean. And that second bracket, the first one's not an issue. The self tappers are actually behind the fender, back in this way over here, so you won't ever see them. The second set on that L bracket, you can see they're sticking out right there. And I do not like it. I don't think it looks good at all. So, part of this, what we're going to do, I'm going to make a little stainless cover. Little stainless plate matching up to that, and put rivsets in the actual bracket itself, and we can bolt it from this side. Now that affords me the opportunity to do something else. I've been trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to mount my coil. So we're actually going to modify that bracket and hold my coil up off the firewall just a little bit, so my coil will end up sitting right in here somewhere as well. At least that is the plan currently. So I guess I need to go ahead and do that, because once we got all this other stuff done, I don't want to take it back off. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. We'll make the holes and make our little bracket and go from there. Alright, so here's our plan. I went ahead and took off the mounting bracket for the coil and that L bracket. I got this sheet of aluminum we're using to patch the radiator. I'm just going to cut a piece out of it. Here's where the coil mounts. Here's for that bracket. So I'm going to cut this out. I'll round the corners a little bit. Don't necessarily need to take it that far back. And this here's for a little jog or a little dog leg, bend it out and over. Hopefully this aluminum will bend. I know aluminum ain't the best about wanting to bend, especially for sharp angles. We're going to try it. If this doesn't work, I got a sheet of stainless. Either one of them is going to polish up nicely for what we want. So I'm going to get this cut out and try and attempt to bend it, and hopefully it don't break on us. All right, went ahead and just did it off camera, but made us our little bracket I was talking about, and added some rivsets. I like this idea over those self tappers anyways. I think it'll be a little more secure. Worst cases, I might have to put a dab of Loctite in it. Anyway, so now we're going to go and get this mounted back up, and we'll be ready to start figuring out the rest of this. So let's get this mounted. All right, we've got our bracket. Oop, flip around. Y'all don't want to look at me. All right, got our bracket reinstalled. Now we're here on the engine bay side. There's our bracket and our coil. You can see it dog legs off that pretty nicely. Eventually I'll end up replacing these bolts here with stainless. It's got a little shake to it, but I don't think it'll be bad. So, fun. All right. Now that those are installed, we can go ahead and remount our evaporator. So the first step was holding the evaporator up, getting your spots marked for your L brackets. Take them off, mount them, and then now you got to remount your evaporator to start planning out your lines. So, I'm going to set y'all up on a time lapse real quick. So. All right, as y'all see, we've got this thing sitting up under the dash. Looks like it's hanging down pretty far, but it's, I mean, only so much room under these cars. I can open up the dash. I'll put a glove box in here. If I would have went much higher, I mean, we're not far above that at all. And I could have got a couple more inches, but I'm content with it. I still got to make a little piece that's going to go under here because that's where I want to mount my vents so I don't hide more of it. So to me, it's not that big a deal, especially when the car's slammed. Now, next thing it says to do is you kind of start planning the routing of your lines. Now, our lines are behind this. Luckily, this comes off pretty easy. It's just 2 little screws. Where'd that one go? There it is. I don't want to lose my screws, so we're just going to keep it put. All right. Well, hold on one second. Sometimes it's hard to do stuff with one hand. Trying to get this thread started on this screw. All right. That's enough to hold it. Anyway. This, to me, is probably one of the trickier parts, and that's figuring out kind of where you want your hoses to come out. Initially, I had thought about kind of running mine behind the inner fender. Just wasn't going to work out, but according to the instructions, you start off, spin you all around, take a couple of your fittings. It originally says to use a 90s, that way if you can go straight, you can. This one here, I am going to use a 90 on. And we will kind of go almost kind of straight with it. Now, there's another fitting back here. I'm going to use a straight on it. Come on. Now, I'm not putting the O-rings or nothing like that in here yet. This is just a preliminary kind of mock-up. Alright, now the reason I decided to use a straight fitting on this one, I decided here's the actual hose. We're going to fit the hose. I'm going to end up just kind of U-ing it, and then I'm going to get a 90 that goes to my bulkhead. Whereas this one here, I can straight to the bulkhead. So that's just kind of planning that first little part. Here's where our heater hoses go in. So that'll be the same thing. I'll probably end up looping some 5/8 hose around and going to a 90. So, all right, that's that part for now. There's our plugs. So let me read the instructions, and that's as far as I had gotten on my own. So anyways, let me get the instructions out. Read a little bit, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, we already discussed it. After we getting that mounted, it's talking about kind of locating where your hoses are going to go. I'm still waiting on my bulkhead fit, and it says don't even put the hole in the firewall. They don't recommend doing it until the end of this process. Anyways, one thing we do have to do is right here. That is our vent. So we will have to focus a little hole here somewhere and vent that out. I'm not worried about that one just yet. Next step after that, though, is installing, what does it say we're installing? Controls and wiring. So that's a fun part. Let's get started on controls and wiring. Easiest part for us is we're going to go ahead and slide this in. I just hope that fits through. Shouldn't be an issue. So we'll go over here to the driver's side, and we'll set y'all up. And this mount's pretty easy. I've still got to pull the knobs off this thing and clean them up, but that's not a big deal. All right, let me set y'all up real quick. Right here is where our factory controls go in. They actually mount from the back, so that's not an issue. Just need to get these cables here out of the way. We stick this here in. Get these towards the middle. All right, let me go grab a couple bolts. Maybe this one here. That might be one of the ones I needed. Anyway, I'm gonna get this tightened up. Whoop. Sorry. I'm gonna get that tightened up and then I'll bring y'all back for the next part. All right, got that in, tightened up, which was a pain in the butt. I don't know what it was. There's one of those bolts. It's blind. It wasn't a good way to get to it. Anyway, putting together a little control panel here for the AC. Got one just for the fan control. Easy enough. We're going to get it put in. And then we also have to install, this is the one for the temperature. This end here has to go into the evaporator. I'm going to get this thing here put together. Hadn't decided out where I want to mount this. I'll probably, like I said, we're going to make it a lower piece. I'll probably make something and stick this in it. At least that is the plan. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, fan. All right. Easy peasy, man, lemon squeezy. So this would technically step 2. So step 1 is, you know, kind of mounting your evaporator, figuring out where you want your lines run, and then kind of just planning that stuff out really. And then the second part is going to be your wiring and doing these controls. Now luckily the way that thing mounts, we can undo a couple bolts or loosen the bolts and we can tilt that whole evaporator down, make some of this installation a little better. I'm not snugging these up a whole lot just yet, just by hand, because like I said, I'm probably going to have to pull this apart to make a little mount for it. So I don't see the point in, you know, mounting it all the way. This is just the initial. So, but anyways, got a little fan knob on one, temperature control on the other. There's the back. I'm assuming this here is probably our wiring. Well, I know it's our wiring. It came with it. One of them is kind of a relay looking back. I think it's for the fan. I think it's just a... get this sorted. So that one there. Probably help if I didn't just throw it down. Yeah, just plug straight in. This one here, built-in fuse, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. Oh, there's 2 little extra wires coming off this that go over to that. We don't really have to give you much room with them, though, that's for sure. Doesn't say which is which. Need to do a little reading, make sure I can tell, spin y'all around. So there's these here, which I'm assuming they just go on right here. It might not matter, but let me double check. All right. Didn't really see anything about those particular 2 wires. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyways, our coil wire here on the controls, we got to insert it. There's a little spot on top of the evaporator, little hole, as you can see. It even got the instructions. Insert it here, about 2 inches. So we're going to pull that out, get it out of our way. And I'm going to go ahead and uncoil this, shove it in there. I'm going to measure me about 2 inches, make sure I get it marked properly, which is not that big a deal. They say be careful with this thing, it's a little fragile. It comes with a 36-inch one, but if you need a bigger one, they do have them up to like 72 inches. So, all right, give me just a second. All right. They're just 2 inches. So, let's trying to, well, that didn't work. Try to set y'all up where y'all can see, but let me uncoil this a little more. I'm gonna need the slack anyway, so. That there is honestly probably about good enough. If I need more, we'll pull it back out. Alright. About right there. Alright, our plug, it comes with, has a 3-tail prong, which just matches up to this one. Just plug those together. If they'll go. Well, here's a tight plug. Okay. And there's also, here's ground wire. We'll have to ground this somewhere, so I'll figure out a spot. Like I said, this, we got plenty of room. It'll probably get mounted somewhere over here towards the center. Tucked up out of the way. And I think this is power supply. So, as you can see, wiring for this is pretty simple. So I'm gonna raise this thing back up, tighten it up. Actually, I think our next thing is kind of our ducting. Oh, excuse me. So, I'll grab a little bit of that ducting and kind of get an idea where it's gonna go. All right, before I get into that ducting, do need to go ahead and continue on the wiring. All right, this blue wire coming off this. This one is the one that goes to our compressor. So we're going to try to end up routing it up here with our other wire that's going through the firewall. It'll run behind the inner fender. And right here's our compressor wire. So we'll probably end up just kind of tagging onto this line here, going that way with it. And then this red is for our accessory hot. I'll just have to find a accessory hot and tap into for that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to get this run through if I can. It's gonna be a pain in the butt because of, fender and everything's already on. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to pull this wheel. So I'm gonna get that run through. Then we'll see if we can find us a good accessory hot over here. Slight change of plans. All right, right there where that L bracket is, between it, probably right about here, I'm gonna go ahead and just drill a hole, put a rubber grommet in, because I already know that hole is under this fender because where that bracket is. Won't interfere with anything. So it'll be easier to kind of snake it through there. So I'm gonna do that. But apparently it wasn't. Anyways, got that snake through, run down along this one, and all this bolted back in. I actually got my stainless bolts in. I'm gonna put a hole up here. That way we hold that up tight, keeps it out of the way of the tire, keeps it above those holes, makes it look a little bit better. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right. Well, that's got our wiring tidied up. I don't care that I had to run that bolt through there like that, but hey, it is what it is. So, and I'll be able to tuck this one here a little more. I've got a little more slack in it. We'll end up zip tying it a little farther over. Just cleaning it up best we can. So, that part of the wiring's done. It's already plugged into the compressor. Now, the only thing we need to do, well, it ain't the only thing, we got a lot to do. Alright. I think our controls will probably end up living somewhere in this area here in the middle, under the radio, easy to reach for both sides. And so I still got to tuck all this stuff up, still got to ground this one. And figure out my hot cable. So I'll start figuring out the hot cable. As y'all still see, I still got plenty of wires I still got to do. I think most of this particular chunk right here, well, some of them got plugs on them already. I know part of it I think is my steering column. It's okay, there's two separate. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, sorry, battery died. Anyways, just saying, bundles of wire here. This little section here, one of them is my radio or charger constant. One's actually just radio power. This one here is for the heat and AC power and wipers. So all this goes over that way regardless. I'll go ahead and kind of move them out the way. And I've got to finish up this wiring, get everything cleaned up. Figure out where everything needs to go. So give me a minute, I want to get this moved over there, make it easier for us to work on, sort a few things. And we'll be back and we'll go ahead and with that heater and AC. All right, we got that all kind of sorted, kind of where it needs to go. One of them was my old gauge cluster. I've got it flipped over, and there's the stuff for the column. And anyways, a lot of this stuff I need to go back. I had done a little preliminary wiring, and I need to go back and shorten a lot of it. Anyways, under here now. Damn dash is not going to stay open or shut. So there's that. And our AC powers are a green one. We just need to tie these two wires together, and then the actual overall wiring, other than the ground, is complete. So I think I'm gonna do the ground first. That way I don't risk shorting something out. So we'll go ahead and do that. That's a radio. All right. So let me figure out a good spot for his ground, and I'll be back with you in a second. All right. Of course, you know, wiring's all pretty simple. We'll use bullet connectors on these. Now, I know I still got to clean up all this wiring, and I'll come back and add some heat shrink. But that gets us started. So, we just got to figure out, like I said, we got to make a mount for this. It'll be under here somewhere. But technically, let's see. There's our wire hookup. We got 2 of those. We got to figure that out. Where these 2 cables go. But one of them obviously goes to this. Connects right there. And this one will end up connecting to one of the heater hoses. That's temperature control. Easy peasy. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and get those hooked up as well. And then we'll oh, I ain't gotta worry about hooking those up. That blower motor should work. Let's turn a little power on just to see. Make sure that blower motor is gonna work. Alright, sensor power is on. Yep, blower works. That's good. Alright. So there's our initial steps in getting this thing put in. Like I said, I need to work on the mount and getting everything else fixed. Well, I hope that cable's longer than that, because that is not going to reach at all. So, anyway, that might be an issue. Need a longer cable for that one there. So, let me crawl up in here and we'll take us a quick look. A lot of stuff in the way, and it's actually easier to get for me to get in the back seat and lay over this one. All right. Sorry, I'm not trying to bounce y'all around too much, but which that is just not quite long enough. I need to see if they got another cable. So that's gonna be fun. We need one, oh, I'd say about a foot longer to circle around and come to that. It's gotta come over up to here. So we need a longer cable for that one. Now this one should be fine. It goes all the way back to where we need it. Well, oh, check out my cool gas pedal. Now I've got to modify it to fit, but this was actually what the hell, that damn dash. It's off a sewing machine. My grandmother worked at the American Uniform Company. She raised me, and this come from where she used to work. So I've got to raise it up a little bit and figure out a way to attach it to my pedal assembly. But yeah. All right. And again, let's see. Like I said, now that is tilted way down at the moment. I need to tighten that up. Give me a second. Now, so from a passenger's viewpoint, you're not going to see a whole lot of that. You see it's a little bit of a box hanging down. Like I said, there's a cover for this, so it don't look bad. All right, me and this thing's going to fight. I have taped it. The tape is just not sticking. Of course, what do you expect? Cheap Harbor Freight tape. Ain't like I bought quality. There. Now maybe it'll quit falling on me. It's popped me in the head a couple times. So, yeah, I forgot what I was doing. I need to start planning out our under dash. That way we can, mount our controls, which are upside down at the moment. That way we can also tuck and hide all this wiring. Right over there is where I want it. And I can figure out ducting. Be right back. Okay, as far as vents, we've got two of this style. It's supposed to have two of these. For some reason I only have one. I'll contact them and I'm sure they'll resend one. But these two end ones will, so I've got to be mindful of the dash. Here, I'm just complaining about this thing falling open. Now it'll open up to there, so I can still mount it just underneath and be fine. So this one here will end up tucking back. Driver's side is going to be a little trickier, and of course we'll do probably a couple here in the middle somewheres. I might just make I could literally just mount this straight underneath, and I'd be fine with that. I could take one this far over here, and then one a little farther over that way, and then we can make literally a little box for our controls. They don't need to be anything too big. So this one here, I'll take y'all around the other side. Driver's side is going to be a little bit trickier. I've got the parking brake handle, which is here, which mounts right here in this area here. So I gotta be mindful of that. Hood latch is also here, right there in that corner. But I've got enough slack in it, I could wiggle it over this way if I need to. I can figure up a mount for it, that's not a big deal. So we might still just take this one back over here. Or I could even mount it. Yeah, I might do that right there, right to the kick panel. I could do that on both sides. And I think it would look all right, especially when it's upholstered. It'll help block the view of that fuse block. So, I think that might be our ticket. It won't blow directly on your face, but you can still angle it up. It's about my only option, really. Only other thing I could do is if let's see. I think my wipers go here. Now technically I could bore that out and I could put it in the dash. Don't think I really want to do that. So I think I'm just going to mount it here to the kick panel. I'm probably going to do that on the other side as well. So I think that's a good place for that. And it'll help hide a lot of stuff. So, there, we got that figured out. Alright, so so far we've got the evaporator installed, got our lines figured out where they're roughly going to come out on the firewall. got our power and everything hooked up, and now we just need to build all of our little mounts and boxes and stuff like that. I got a couple other things going under that dash. I've got my controller for my AccuAir, and I've got a block here that's going to mount it. That way I can hide it up under the dash and set y'all up for a second. So yeah, this will mount up under the dash like that, and then it swings out. So that's pretty cool, little trick piece. I like it. Should be easy enough to figure out. Of course, I'll have that close to the driver's side. This is all the little stuff I've got to start doing. Trying to button up a bunch of wiring, because we're getting closer to being able to fire this thing up. And like I said, I can drive it in primer for a little bit if I want to, but I'd like to be able to start driving it in general. And that means we've got to get all the wiring taken care of. So I think we're actually going to be kind of at a standstill as far as on the AC. Video's not done yet. But as far as the AC goes, I mean, we'll get a little stuff done. Like I said, I'll get my other kick panel out and figure that out. And like I said, I need to figure these mounts out here, whether I want to just use these directly. Like I said, I can put one here and one over here. I could actually, I've got to figure out that controller too. So I've got to figure out a few mount locations. But we're also going to go ahead and start knocking out some wiring. So I'm sure y'all tired of hearing me ramble for the day. So I'm probably just going to set y'all up on some time lapse as I do a few things, and then I'll bring you back and tell you everything I did. That way y'all only listen to me talk so much. So we'll see y'all in a few. Alright, figured out a place to mount this. And I just to kind of look out the spacing on here. There happens to be, let me get that out of my way, see. Those two bolt holes right here just happen to line up perfect. Spin this thing around. You can see they're almost perfectly where they need to be. Here's where our emergency brake, parking brake handle goes. So right there, it's going to be out of the way. You can see it stick up right there. Now, downside, well, my knee should not hit it. Of course, when it's folded up, it'll be up out of the way completely. You won't even see it. And then fold it down. It'll be a left-handed control. It's either that or it's playing with this layout a little bit. This vent here, I'm going to put here for me. I'll get another one, mount right there for the passenger. And then I could put this right here under the edge of the radio, which is a good spot, easy to get to. And same thing with the AC controls. Put them right there next to it, or I might center them. Probably offset them just a little bit because of where this lines up. You can see we're almost right at the edge of the radio. And so that would put that right there, and then I would put the other controller right down here. So I think that's the plan as far as layout. Now I've got, like I said, I need to decide if I want to make one big box and just put all this in it, or how I want to do it, or if I just want to leave it just kind of just stuck under the dash. I think it'll look fine either way. This will be the easiest one. Like I said, just drill a couple holes and mount it right there. Be good to go. Same thing with the other one. And then these here, like I said, we're going to put them right there on the kick panel. So, got our locations for vents picked out. So I'm gonna have to get, regardless of where I mount this, I gotta get longer screws, so I can't do that just yet. So, like I said, that kind of almost puts me at a standstill on the inside part, other than figuring up my mount, which I could do, or I can work on getting my condenser and dryer mounted. I know where they gotta go, and of course that means modifying the radiator. So, like I said, it's just doing these things in certain orders. It's just however you want to do it, but it's all gotta get done, regardless. So I think I get the car aired down. I can get to all this a little easier right now. Of course, we're still up on the jacks. I got to decide if I want to space this thing or not. I need to go ahead and remount it. I will be getting my electric fan here. I'm getting ready to order it in a couple days. Let's see. All right, couple bolts actually holding it up. I need a tape measure. Tape measure, tape measure. Where, oh, where are you, tape measure? It's all right, I got like 3 of them in this drawer. So, I need something to stand on. I was a short guy and this thing's up on stilts. All right. Now, standard electric fan at the thickest part is 2.5 inches out. Now we are just a shy under an inch of hitting that. Now the fan I'm looking at is a 16 inch. And they do get thinner towards the edge, but a 16 inch. Now at the top puts the center of it right about where that is. So I'd either have to put my fan on the outside or I'd need to come up with a lot of spacing. Now I could possibly off center it a little. We are 20 inches wide. So I could literally start it here, but that's still gonna put the center of it here. Either way I go, it ain't much off. So we're gonna have to space this thing out. That's all there is to it. Which runs me into other issues. You can see, come on. All right, trimming this all back here is no big deal. But we will have to trim that, like I said, trim this back on both sides. And because we need at least another 1.5 inches to clear an electric fan. And that's a short water pump and everything on here. So, yeah, kind of, but I can only space it actually about 1 inch because I've only got, we've only got so much room to come forward down here. Just dropped that tape measure, didn't I? Yep. Let's see. I can only come forward about 1.5 inches, which if we come the whole 1.5 inches forward, I said, and we had just about 1 inch back there, we would be pretty close to being able to squeeze that electric fan in there. I might have to change the bolts on the pulley for the water pump. We got rid of those Allens right there and got some of the real thin headed bolts. That would free up a little bit of clearance, but it is tight. So yeah, I guess I'm going to work on spacing this thing. I'm going to see what I can space. I'll make some temporary ones and see what I got a notch, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all. I ended up kind of spacing this out just a little bit. Just got some 1-inch square tube, and I just wanted to take a look. So I trimmed out in here on both sides, so I got room there. You see I got the condenser just sitting in there. Right now, that gave us probably 1.5 inches. I might look at it, instead of doing one big 16-inch fan, doing 2 smaller fans. I could offset them, possibly. You know, one up in one corner, one down lower in the other. That might work. So, could even do that, and then maybe one little small one outside. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But I think 1 inch is about all I can really do, because I'm getting, if I remove this condenser, our gap down here at the bottom is getting pretty close, so, and I don't want to get too much closer than that. Unfortunately, this is all the 1-inch square stock I've got right now. So I'm gonna have to go to the metal store and pick up some 1-inch square here in a day or two whenever I get a chance. They're closed today, or it's already closed now, and I'll go back to work tomorrow. So with that being said, that's all I can do on our AC. So end of AC part 1 is kind of over, but we're not done with the video. Like I said, I'm gonna set y'all up on time lapse, and I'm just gonna knock out some wiring, some little stuff, and then part 2 of the AC, we'll get all of our hoses ran, you know, finish up the radiator, all that good stuff. So y'all come back for part 2 when that's done, but let me go ahead and get some more wiring done, and then we'll wrap up this video. What's going on, everybody? It's been a couple days. Still doing a little bit of wiring and stuff. Not doing as much of it as I wanted to. I've actually got some bunch of new connectors and stuff on the way. I want to rewire. Well, a lot of it's wired where it needs to go. I'm going to redo all my ends, shorten up some wires. But I got a little pro tip I want to share for you. If you know, when you're doing your tail lights, when you're doing your tail lights, if you're replacing your sockets and you're buying like these generic ones, and they tend to come with 2 wires, you know. Problem is, most of them aren't labeled. This one here might have, as happens to be, one says mark. But some of them, like the one I got here, there's no label on them, it's just 2 black wires. And you're wanting a way to identify, these are for the 2-prong plug, by the way, for like an L56 plug, like a dual filament. Now I have a LED type light here. I'll have to set it where y'all can see it. Anyway, but what I'm getting at is you want an easy way to figure out which of the 2 black wires is which. Which one is your marker light, which one is your brake light. There, y'all can see it. We'll bend that a little bit. Easy thing to do. All you need is a 9-volt battery. And a little jumper wire will help. The only thing I'm using the jumper wire for is these ground on the body off the car. So if you're just testing off the battery, you know, you just clamp your jumper wire to it, and then your jumper wire to your negative on your 9-volt. Right there. And then the only thing you gotta do is take your 2 leads, like this one here. You see the brightness of it. Then you take your other one, and that's dimmer. So that would be my parking light. Well, brake and turn signal. So then you can just take you a piece of tape, like I know this is now my brake and turn, put me a little piece of masking tape on it and mark it. That way when I'm wiring it up, I know which one goes where. Simple, easy little test. Like I said, you can see the difference. You can see how bright this one is. Well, I say that, and then there. You can't even see the individual filaments. Then this one, you know, it's much dimmer. So, easy test for you. Just figured I'd share that little, we'll call it a pro tip, you know. Even though I'm definitely no pro, wiring is definitely not my forte. So, like some of them you will buy will say, like this one does say mark on one side. And then the other one, I can't really make out what that says. But like I said, quick little tip, easy thing to do. Makes wiring a little easier. So just keep that in mind for your future references. You can just keep a 9-volt battery in your electrical bag with your jumper wire and you're good to go. So yeah, anyways, continue wiring. All right, everybody, I've been doing a little bit of wiring. I didn't film a lot of it, but I've ran into an issue. I think I've got it figured out, but did wire the fuel pump up. It's working fine. As a matter of fact, I've just got it unplugged. That way when I turn the ignition on, it's not just running a dry pump. And as y'all seen earlier, I was wiring up the tail lights right here, which I'm misplaced my screws for the benzol that actually holds it in place, and I've misplaced my second one of these. I've got one of these on the way. But here's the issue I'm running into. Blinkers aren't working. When I turn on one blinker, both lights come on. And that is the same for the front, so I'm not getting any flashing. And when I turn on my headlights, these things are going to directly their brightest setting like the brake light is on. The brake light does work. When I release it, it'll work, go full bright. So, but I think I've got it figured out. I think it's, like I said, these are LED, and my turn signals up front are LED. And you got to have the LED flashers because it can cause all these issues I'm having. I do have a set of those on the way from Summit. So you got to replace both the hazard and the regular one for the LEDs. And I'm hoping that takes care of the issue. If that doesn't fix the issue, then there's a good chance it's in that cheap Chinese column, that eBay special. I know everything's wired right. These only can go one certain way. Like I said, when you seen me do the little test here for the wires on which one was tail light and which one was bright, using a 9-volt little trick, which that works. Now my front, I don't have marking lights as of yet. I've just got turn signals, and they're built into the headlight. You can see they're right here at the base. I also, I was waiting on a retaining ring for this one as well, hence the tape. You can see I don't even have that one all the way in. But let's show y'all what it's real quick. Like right now, oh, wrong one. All right, ignition's on, and y'all's already seen nothing that was lit up a second ago. Just double check and show y'all. So, see, neither one are lit up. When I come up, turn signal down like would be going left. And as you see, both tail lights are on. The headlight ones are not very bright at the moment, but there you are coming on. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. So it's the same thing whether I turn it one way or the other, they both come on. Now, if I turn my headlight switch, that should be parking light. You can see the back of the room lighting up. Anyway, headlight or parking light, headlight on, whatever. They're fully bright, both of them. Well, actually, that one's looking a little dimmer than this one. Maybe I wired one of them wrong. Anyway, but they're coming on at their full brightness and they shouldn't be. Headlight does come on. But not real sure what's going on with that. Other than the LED flashers. And if one understands, it's kind of a common issue when upgrading to LED anything. Like here's your standard flasher. I did buy one. You gotta apparently replace both. I have one LED flasher back here, but apparently the ones you need actually have a ground wire that come off of them. So I have two of those on the way. So that's what we'll go with once they get here. Now, I know this was the AC video and I've been doing a little wiring. I already have received in a couple more of my AC parts for the second part of our video, but I also have run into an issue with that, which I will have corrected before the second video. If y'all remember, earlier in the video I said you already had this bulkhead fitting, but I didn't want to use it. Well, I had ordered another one. Well, crap. Oh, there it is. I like the way this one looks. It's a little more polished. It's to me, the construction overall is a little better, but here's my issue. We'll lay both of them here side by side. Like here's the heater hose fitting. As you can see, where the O-ring seats, it's supposed to set in. Well, this one here, I'm not getting it. It's not seating. Well, it's almost like these holes are just a hair too small. You can actually almost see the difference. I said overall this one looks better construction with the exception of the inner holes. It's almost like they didn't do a final clearance on them. They're just a hair smaller than these. So, and you can't just transfer these to these. The way they mount on the back side is different. This is more of like a double D style setup. You can see right there, double D. Whereas these, these are a little more unique. They use some kind of oval type shape. Now I could probably make the double D ones work in here, but there's a few differences I don't care for. I think I'd rather try to clearance these, maybe just go get a proper drill. And you can see these have some funky oval shaped thing to them, which is, it's cool, but it's different. But look at the difference in the construction. I mean, you can see the size difference overall on the two of these. There's a huge thickness difference. These just look a little beefier and stronger to me. So I would rather use this one here But like I said, I might just take it to my buddy. He's got a lathe, and we can always just chuck it up in the lathe and kind of hone them out a little bit, maybe, possibly. So, but I've got a few other parts showing up. I've still got to go borrow. My dad's got the tool for clamping those particular hoses. Real quick though, what I'm thinking. Come on, sorry. Sorry, I'm kind of walking and trying to put this thing back together. All right, let me. Like I said, I'm thinking. Flip y'all around. We're gonna want this about right in here on the firewall. I think that's a pretty good location overall. It might come a little farther this way, but that's generally where I'm thinking right now. But I've got to make sure I want to use this one, because as you can see, I can't go from one of these to the other. The hole spacing's a lot different. I think this one, like I said, I do think this one here looks better. But the hole spacing, as y'all can, flip y'all around. The hole spacing is just completely different from one to the other. So one's a lot wider. Now these two here are close, but they're still different if you see if I line them up. So anyway, so we're waiting on that. I'm just gonna continue right now picking away at a few little things, cleaning up a few things wiring wise. But I think that's going to wrap this video up. Part 2, like I said, we're going to finish the AC system all the way to the point of probably, except for charging it just yet, because I want to get, of course, I got to get the engine running and all that. But we're going to finish doing the install. Part 3 will come back and, finish doing the rest of it. But that's going to wrap it up for this video here. I appreciate y'all watching. I hope that little trick with the tail light helps y'all on something. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned. Come back for more. We got more videos coming out. Sorry, videos have been a little slower getting out here recently. I'm working a lot, so I only get like 2 or 3 days at a time to work. And sometimes I can't finish enough for a video to in that short time. Sometimes I can. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you on the flip side.